right, so this is our first ever video for the Chaos Games YouTube channel. Our goal here is to kind of show people, the outside world and the inside world, people who come to Chaos, what we're about here, what we do, what we talk about, just all the different things. We mainly specialize in Magic the Gathering, but there's a lot of other tournaments that go on here. And that's really cool. And eventually down the line, we would like to have some of those other tournament goers on this show. So starting with, I'm Joe Hurt. I run Chaos Games. I love Magic the Gathering. That's what started Chaos Games. So I'm mainly a mono green player. Can't get enough of the color. Play it in every single format. If you haven't met him before, he works at the shop with me, Samuel Erickson. He's going to talk a little bit about himself.
Hi, I'm Sam. One day Joe came up to me and he said, "Hey, how much do you like Magic cards?" And I said, "Kind of a little bit." He tricked me into working into his store, so I can't leave ever. It's impossible. For Magic, I traditionally like to play fair decks. I attack for lethal, and sometimes you get a little degenerate with drawing cards and stuff like that with like Glimpse of Nature. Otherwise,
what formats do you like to play in Magic primarily?
I play more modern than anything. Aether Vial is probably like one of my favorite cards ever.
What deck do you use that in?
Currently humans, but probably like my first modern deck I've ever played was Merfolk, and that's where it all came together. Where just Aether Vial in one, and you just keep those greedy one-landers, and you can't lose.
So that's a little bit about Sam, and we're going to be talking about, like I said, Chaos Games. The future videos, we're going to have all sorts of content. We've got a bunch planned out. We probably have 10 ideas already locked up. So kind of just, tune into these things, and we're going to talk about it. First thing we want to talk about, this last weekend of Chaos, we had our first ever fighting game tournament, and it was awesome. Jeremiah put it on. Chris put it on. Both the gentlemen, I believe, work at GameStop here in Minot. Awesome individuals. They really are into fighting games. I know they played Tekken 7, Smash Ultimate, Samurai Showdown, and Mortal Kombat 11. They had, the basement was bumping. I walked down there, and there's probably 40 people down there, maybe even 50. I don't even know. I did a little Facebook Live on it. So it was an awesome experience. They're here every Saturday, usually around that 5 p.m. mark, just jamming games. And that's what they like to do. It's kind of, we're the Magic guys. They like doing the fighting games. So eventually I'm going to hop in the Smash one, maybe even the Mortal Kombat one. I do like Reptile. So, that fighting game happened. Their their Twitch channel is, I think it's Kid Icarus, or it's just Icarus.
I think it's Icarus.
Just Icarus.
Yeah.
So it's ICKORUS, Icarus. So hop on there and just give them a watch. They, like I said, every Saturday they live stream. They really are getting into it. The first one they did was pretty awesome with what they did with their green screen backdrop and all that good jazz. And then that's going to segue us to the Chaos Games players, Magic players. We like to do more than just stay here and play Magic. One of the big things we like to do is travel. So in Fargo, North Dakota, we recently had our 5th installment of our Tri-City Legacy. And if you don't know what that is, Legacy is my favorite format in Magic the Gathering. It goes back to the original cards. There is a ban list, obviously. Can't use some of the most powerful cards ever, but still a great format. It's got every single kind of deck you would ever expect. That's what I really, really love about it. This one recently we did, I think it was about 2 weeks ago. I'm not quite sure.
2 weeks from now, yeah.
2 weeks from now or 2 weeks ago? Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
No, from now means in the future, right?
Anyways, so we had 38 players for the Tri-City Legacy event, which was the most we've had in the 5 installments we did. We've done 1 in Minot, 2 in Fargo, 2 in Bismarck. The next one is in Minot. And we've kind of turned that into an ND Legacy weekend, and we can talk more about that. Check it on the Facebook page.
Shameless Chaos Games plug.
We're not here to talk about
Shameless plugs.
So the Tri-City Legacy, 38 players, your top 8 deck breakdown. And we're going to put some pictures up here about those. So as we're talking about the top 8, you'll kind of just see pictures kind of scroll by your face there. So there was 2 Tamir Delvers in top 8. There was a Maverick deck, Blue-Black Tezzerator, Death and Taxes, Infect, Red-Green Lands, and Mono-Black Pox. Out of all of those, Mono-Black Pox sucks. Nobody wants to play against this deck. There's obvious reasons for it. I play Elves. We're going to dive into this in a little bit, but that deck sucks. Also, the person who pilots it is called the Bassman, so when you lose to someone with that name, you're just done. But anyways, so the winner was a Tamir Delver player, and we can get into that as well. We got personal issues
you
there.
really like that guy.
So, but talking a little bit about Tamir Delver as a deck, Sam, since that was the deck that won. Delver of Secrets, for Commander players, Modern players, he's a little bit in Modern. Obviously, he's nowhere in Standard. What is Delver of Secrets? Why is this card so good?
So he's probably like one of the most powerful cards in the Legacy format for a creature. Really easy to play on turn 1. And the decks that he's included in just have a critical mass of like all these spells that you play. You can literally turn 1 a Delver, hold up protection for him in the form of a Daze or a Force of Will, and then on your upkeep, when his trigger goes on the stack, you can cast a Brainstorm to make sure that he flips. On the flip side, he becomes a 3/2 flyer. Not impressive, but when you're in 20 life land and a really evasive threat is super fantastic for these style of decks when all these really powerful spells are flying around and you're just beating.
He also works really well, as you kind of mentioned. You didn't say it specifically, but he works really well in conjunction with Brainstorm.
Oh yeah, sorry, I didn't say that.
So yeah, during the upkeep, when you go to flip him, his trigger goes on the stack. You need to reveal an instant or sorcery card to flip this guy. So you're going to cast a Brainstorm in response to the trigger, and then that's when you just get to manipulate your hand, the top of your deck. You get to do whatever you want, and then all of a sudden you establish this, at minimum, 7-turn clock that's going to close the game out. So eventually your goal is to obviously beat them in the face with this Delver of Secrets, maybe backed up by burn spells / counter magic, control magic. The other card that made a splash and is also in the winning deck list of Tamir Delver was Renin 6.
Oh, man.
And it's kind of splashing up all over the place in Modern and Legacy. John in Modern is starting to see 4 of. I personally don't necessarily agree with that. I don't think it's strong in Modern. But in Legacy Land, this card is incredible. There's a ton of 1 toughness creatures, and there's Wasteland. So, what is your thoughts? What do you think of Renin 6?
It's 2 mana, so it gets under a lot of the thresholds of like what makes a card powerful in Legacy or something like that. It gets you pseudo card advantage. It lets you keep a little bit greedier hands, where you only keep 2 lands, but one of them's a fetch land, and then you just never need to draw land ever again. So you just have gas off the top. It also
Wasteland.
Yeah, Wasteland on its own. Some decks aren't affected by Wasteland. Mono black elves sometimes. Elves has a Gaia's Cradle, but not impervious to it. But Miracles is like really great versus Wasteland. But just being able to recur Wasteland, you're just like, cool, I have my 2 mana that I can do whatever I want with, and then every turn I'm going to take you off a land. And some decks that are just like, yep, I run 2 basics and 8 non-basics, you're just like, I can't win.
So, and for people who don't realize, Wasteland, almost in Legacy in some capacity, is Strip Mine. And if it's Strip Mine, that means it's banned in every format, because it's Strip Mine. It literally blows up basics. So
that card
the fact that Wasteland can target almost every land in your deck is just incredible to recur at every turn if that's what you want to do with your land drop that turn. But let's talk about the second. Obviously, his ult is, doesn't really need to be talked about. Yeah. Retracing lightning bolts, brainstorms is incredible. Turning every land you draw into a spell.
Get extra card advantage on top of your card advantage.
Right. So the one that is key here that seems so minuscule is the down tick. I believe it's a -2 deal 1.
No,
right?
it's -1.
It's a -1 deal 1. And like I said, in Modern Land, this isn't as powerful, but in Legacy Land,
that thing's still picking off Noble Hierarch.
It's Noble Hierarch, Blighted Agent, Glistener Elf, almost every single elf in the elf deck.
The elf deck.
Snapcaster Mages, Monastery Mentor tokens, Young Pyromancer, Unflipped Delver of Secrets. So it's just like, this card it does everything. And people always wonder why Crucible of Worlds was $50 before M19 came out. Just the ability to play lands from your graveyard is incredible. This is a 2-mana Crucible of Worlds. It has some downside, but one of its biggest haters in Deathrite Shaman got banned.
I was about to say, like, that's very ironic that because other people are dubbing this as the new Deathrite Shaman. The interaction between them would be very interesting to watch, where it's like,
Deathrite would just win.
Well, Deathrite would win all the time, but what I'm saying is, like, just like how would Renin 6 be if it wasn't
if Death Ray was still in the format.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I still think it's kind of like Reanimator didn't go away because Death Ray was played. So I think Ren and 6 would still be played to an extent, because if you're a lands player, even if I dredge over something in the bin, then I'm going to target it with Ren and 6. Obviously, Death Ray will get rid of it, but now I still have a loam that I can abuse.
Well, I mean, even like I wouldn't say it completely checks, but in a sense, it also can check Ren and 6 as well, because it's just a 1/2. You're not killing it with the down tick. It's gonna attack through your Delvers. It's gonna attack through your Young Pyromancers. You're not blocking a 1/2.
Very true. So the reason we're talking about Tri-City Legacy, Sam and I and a couple other Minot bros, I think we brought 8 in total down from Minot to this event. Bismarck brought 12, and then Fargo did the rest. So whatever that math checks out to be. So I played Elves, and I've been playing this deck for 4 years, 5 years. I have a ton of reps with it. This deck is incredible to play. It's truly rewarding to play when you kill somebody, because it can attack in a lot of... Mainly you're winning by, obviously, combat damage. Deathrite Shaman used to give you that burn style of effect over the top if you needed it. And you could still look at a card like Shaman of the Pact right now if you wanted to go over the top, and you can recur it with Wirewood Symbiote and things of that nature. But, so to give you guys an idea, and this is going back to the Mono Black Pox player, Elves is exactly what it sounds like. If you play Commander, if you play Modern, if you've even played Standard, you see the card Llanowar Elf. Elf Ball. You hear these terms. This is what the deck is built on. This is the pinnacle of the deck. This deck can kill turn 2 by combat damage with Craterhoof Behemoth. It attacks, like I said, on a couple different avenues. It can play a grindy game. It can play an aggro game. It can play a combo game. It can literally do all of those facets while literally being a mono green deck. I guess you splash black into it.
Well,
So
I was even gonna say, like, if you look at like a modern versus a legacy elves deck, like the modern elf is like beat down with, I'd say a combo finish of just a million creatures plus death, or not Death Ray Shaman.
Missouri.
No, the other, the black one that you were just talking about. Shaman of the Pack. But this one combos in a different way of just, you have like 4 creatures in play and a Craterhoof, and math checks out to where they're at 20 or at 18, they're just dead.
So, yeah, the legacy version is unfortunately like 10 times stronger than the modern version. Just having Natural Order, Glimpse of Nature, the other most underrated card, Wirewood Symbiote, buying back Rexage, buying back Elvish Visionary, just creates this incredible card advantage engine.
Blanks removal spells,
just
eats creatures for like blockers, you're just not taking any damage.
And the other thing is, even if you're a skilled pilot in Legacy, and I'm not saying obviously all skilled pilots don't know how to play against elves, but it sometimes can be hard for threat assessment, and I've noticed that as an elves pilot.
Yeah. Do you think I have enough IQ to play elves?
No.
What the hell are you talking about?
So, going back to that, I love elves a lot, and going back to Larry Bass, we're going to give him a shout out. He's called the Bass Man. He decides to play Dark Ritual into Liliana the Last Hope.
Can't win.
To tell you people what this means,
no.
I don't play Force of Will. We're a green deck.
No.
Everything's
Force
a 1/1.
Is that good enough?
No.
Force of Vigor.
So everything's a 1/1, and he decides to keep up. Yeah, we're not going to get into this. No, yeah, he's not there anymore. I did have a Nettle Sentinel, which didn't get me anywhere.
It's a fogged 01.
It's the worst sin ever. So that's a little bit about elves, and we might do a video in the future where we go into detail. I can show you guys what a turn 2 combo would look like, what kind of cards you're looking for. There's multiple facets. You can Green Sun on turn 1 for a Dryad Arbor. You can start off with a Nettle Sentinel. You can start off with just a basic Mana Dork. Yeah. There's a ton of routes to turn 2 combo, which is what makes this deck so feared. And then obviously just like the turn 3 Nat Order kill you out of nowhere is an incredible tool for this deck. But going away from elves, Sam also played in the event, and you normally play Infect, but this time you played Blue-White Miracles.
So the topic of today kind of was Ren and 6 in general, and the reason why I didn't play Infect is because when you play if you're on the draw, for instance, and they go, fetch land, pass, and you go turn 1 Glistener Elf, and they just, go to their turn and double crack, play a Ren and 6, and shoot your elf. It's, you either have to 2-for-1 yourself to Force the Will the Ren and 6. If you're lucky enough to have a Daze, good on you. Or you're going to have to waste, an Invigorate or a Pump Spell combo part on keeping your guy alive, because, you not necessarily can't win, but it's really hard when your one toughness guys just get shut down all the time. So instead, I decided to play a deck that I thought would line up a little bit better against Ren and 6, kind of expecting it to come, not necessarily in full force, but someone in the world or, in the top seats would probably be playing it in their deck. I decided to play Blue White Miracles. Really good against the Wasteland engine due to them not running many non-basics. I think there's about 2 in the deck. Otherwise, you actually kind of abuse the fact that you don't use basic lands or you don't use non-basics in the deck, and you run a card called Back to Basics. Similar of like a Blood Moon style effect from Modern. It basically just lets your non-basic lands not untap. So you abuse it by jamming it on turn 3, and you laugh at your opponent's, tropical islands, volcanic islands.
Going back to Ren and 6 real quick, the other thing I think that you can't underestimate is they're going to get 2 cracks at using his down tick on you because he comes in at 3.
Yep.
He's going to down tick target your bro. If you pump it or protect it, you had to waste 1 spell. Then it comes back to your turn. The best case scenario, unless you have a Noble out.
Oh, you have to turn 2 them then and there.
You're going to either try to kill them or you're going to attack the Ren 6 for 1 unless you want to waste another pump spell. So then it goes back to their turn where Ren is at 1 and he just does it again.
Yeah.
So it's almost 4 for 1-ing you to an extent.
Yep.
So I think that part needed to be stated as well.
Well, the other Nightmare Fuel too is it's so hard to combo if you use your Invigorate. A turn 2 kill is still feasible, but you have to have like the perfects. But that them being like the Ren and 6 style decks, if they're playing the Teamer variants, they're gonna also be having access to Force of Will, so it's not even guaranteed. You have to have like the literal stone cold nuts.
You were looking at his list. The winner, was he playing Daze as well?
Yeah, he had 4 Days, 4 Force. Lightning Bolt. He was actually even playing a Force
Force
Bolt.
Negation?
No, Forked Bolt.
Yeah, they play that.
Yeah. So that's even terrifying.
So that was a big decision in not playing Infect but playing Miracles.
Yep.
So why is it coined Miracles? Why is that the name?
So the key, I say key card, but the only card with the Miracle mechanic in the deck is called Terminus. It's a 6-mana sorcery, but if you reveal it as the first card you've drawn this turn, you get to play it for 1 white. So it's just this really powerful board wipe effect that puts all the creatures in play on the bottom of the libraries, clears the way so you don't die, but it's just kind of this hard control style of deck in Legacy. You still get to play the big hitters like Force of Will, Brainstorm. You play 8 to 10 cantrips. You get access to just regular old counterspell, but the thing is, which is kind of the nombo with Terminus, is you want to you still have to win some way or another, and that's either through Jace the Mind Sculptor just going up and up and up and then blowing up their deck, or through Monastery Mentor, if you've ever seen the card, 3-mana 2/2 with Prowess. When you cast a non-creature spell, you make more monks with Prowess. The issue with that is it's the best combo with Terminus, because you go turn 3 Mentor, and then you're like, Miracle Terminus, and you're just like, that's my 2/2. I was going to the bottom of the deck. It's really great with Snapcaster Mage, but, because you get to kind of like get extra value, you're like, snap, plow your thing, and then later you're like, cool, I get to reuse this later after a shuffle or something like that. But, you can't always have it the perfect way. Joe was actually talking about how it would be cool. There's one player that was playing Miracles. I think there's about 3 or 4 players, and one of them...
Tri-City Fargo you're talking about.
Yes.
Yep.
And they kind of used the new technology from War the Spark of Kefnet. God Eternal Kefnet. Basically, the first card you draw the turn, you get to reveal it, and then if it's an instant or sorcery, you get to cast it for 2 colorless less.
Cast a copy.
Yep, and then you still get to draw the card.
So you still draw the card.
Yep. So we were kind of talking about that, probably about an hour ago, and that would be really cool technology for the deck of just like, it's not like Mentor where like you amass this army and you're like, cool, well now I guess I have to put everything to the bottom. Kefnet, you still have that like kind of feel bads, but it's also just a 4/5. It can check Termaggoy.
Flying, right?
Flying, yep. Eats Delvers that we were talking about, powerful Delver. The only issues with it is it's, 4 mana, so it's not...
Is it better than Jace the Mind Sculptor? Would you rather cast Kefnet or Jace? Most people are saying Jace.
Yeah, Jace.
But in Miracle Land, where you're controlling the the turns all the way up to turn 10, it's more feasible to cast it.
Absolutely. Like when you have the game on lock, you you can't lose, and you're just like, well, I have my Jace ticking up, he's at 9, and then just you get to jam your Kefnet as just kind of that extra like get there status type of card.
So that was kind of an overview of Tri-City Legacy, and we're gonna wrap up the first video right there. That's kind of a taste of what we're gonna be doing in the future. We're gonna do longer videos. We're gonna do more in depth on certain topics. like I said, we might do a whole segment talking about just legacy decks for people that are interested in the format. Modern's a big, point as well for people who play. Commander's a huge one for people, local players here. So we might do a couple different Commander segments. But so this is Joe Hurt, Samuel Erickson, Chaos Games here in Minot, North Dakota, and we're signing off for the day.